And now, podcasting from the sun-scorched desert Southwest, weighing in at a combined total of 340 pounds, Brad Winchester, Tyler McDowell-Blanken, are Gimmick Infringement.
Welcome, everybody, to the Gimmick Infringement Podcast. I am Brad Winchester, and with me is my tag team partner, Tyler McDowell-Blanken. Tyler, we are on the heels of SummerSlam. It's over. The Tribal Chief has returned. School starts tomorrow. There is so much going on. How are you?
Yeah, the OTC is back. Mr. Winchester is back. We are back with a new episode. I am well, my friend. It's great to see you. How are you on the heels, as you said, of another school year? We're dropping this episode on your first day of the year.
Yes, yeah.
How's it feel?
Great call. Feels good. I'm ready this year. I don't have nearly the kind of disaster my room was last year. I get asked kind of sarcastically a lot these days, how are your walls? I do have some exterior wall issues. We had a monstrous microburst last year. I'm sure if you go to, I want to say it was August 9th, somewhere around then. If you go to that episode or the one after it, we got nailed by a microburst with 120 mile an hour straight line winds, and it knocked over a saguaro into our wall on my building and caused some damage that we didn't know about until we got another storm 9 months later, that tore the side of the building right off. Like the walls, the exterior portion of the walls just ripped right off. So all the insulation foam and the stucco on the outside just sort of blew apart, and they had to take apart, I don't know, 20 or 30 feet of wall on the outside of my classroom. It just happened to be on my classroom. So people keep asking me how are my walls? I'm like, I mean, inside they're great.
That's a win.
Outside they're being repaired. What are you going to do? You know, like it was apparently an insurance claim now, and it was a faulty installation job. So it was nothing anybody did here. It's just they were installed poorly to begin with, and they're being corrected. So hopefully that gets done soon before the next major storm hits the campus. It's August. It's Arizona. You never know what's going to happen there. But otherwise, we are ready to roll. The syllabi are all uploaded. The reminds are created. The all of the tech stuff. And like I was telling you off air in our production meeting, no idea what day 2 looks like. No idea what day 3 looks like. Not really too concerned until I see what those classes look like. I need to know what the faces look like and what that group's going to be before I can really figure out what day 2 needs to be. Because day 2 could be like, all right, let's skip all this. Let's get to know each other nonsense and get to know each other a little bit over time and begin. Or we're going to play some games. We're going to get to know each other, and we're going to spend some time together and slowly roll out rules and expectations.
Right.
So we'll see what happens, man. You know how that is.
It's usually about vibes the first day, and sometimes the first week.
The first week should be about vibes.
Build that community, and of course introduce like concepts and topics. But you're not going to have an exam on the first Friday, right?
No, and I think I'll spend some time on soft skills this week and just teach them about note taking, because that's a skill they don't all have, and teach them about like how cool you have a flashcard. How should you structure that? Right. Should you just have the name and then on the back the definition, or should you put where you can find it in the textbook, or where is it falling in the AP standards? There's like a million things to consider when doing those, and because we want to be good teachers, we got to model it, which means we have to spend time not only thinking about it, but creating those things for them so that you can show a representation of it. It's not something that I don't think people understand, like what goes into the actual classroom that have never actually done it, because it's one thing to go, yeah, you go in there, you talk to them about your content, bang, bang, boom, give them an assignment, and you're done. No,
everything goes into every single fiber of you. Mentally, physically, emotionally, yes. you put everything on the line because you care about students. You want them to have a good experience, and what you said, Brad, reminds me of the importance of setting expectations and what I wouldn't call them rules, but what your expectations are for your classroom. I know back in the day, I was like, okay, well, kids know how to behave and how to listen when your teacher's speaking, but it's totally a first-year teacher mindset, by the way. I soon learned that. 100%, learned that the time you put in during that first week, the vibey week, that really pays dividends later on when you create that foundation. And something I overlooked too is that for students, particularly in high school, particularly at Marana High, you're going to at most 6 or 7 different classrooms every day. So there are school-wide expectations, but every teacher's room can look and feel different. So you have to be very explicit about, here is what I expect out of you every day. Here is the culture, the community. I'm trying to use buzzwords, but here's the community that I expect us to have in this room. And it varies. So the more detailed you are, the more accountability you show. Like you said, the modeling, whether it's note cards or how we treat each other, that's really imperative.
Yeah, kindness is king too. It's so important just simple. To be like, if I were to sit down and give people advice about what to do, it would be, number one, be yourself. Don't try to be something you're not. What that looks like in terms of a discipline, or I don't even want to say discipline, classroom management, because I don't do a lot of discipline in my room. It's just classroom management stuff. I let a lot of stuff go because it's not really a fight I'm willing to fight. And when it's the big things, I don't let it go. We take care of it, and then it doesn't happen again. And if it does, it really doesn't happen again after that. And it's, if kids don't feel comfortable in the room, then nothing good's going to happen in there anyway. But it's, just really excited to get started and get that first, that first week is super important. And I'm excited to talk to them and go like, well, what do you want? Because ultimately our jobs are as a tool, not as anything else. I know this stuff. You don't. So your job is learn it. The burden needs to be on you, the learner, not on me, the person who learned it already. And it's, how do I make sure that that's happening and that I'm not accidentally answering all of the questions? I need to let them think through it. There's so much stuff going on. And to your point, that first year teacher mindset, or just this is new content, I haven't taught this before, mindset. I've used this before, but I will continue to use it. Shout out to Dr. Murphy for this, but committing a suicide is one of those things where you just assume the kids know it. They have absolutely no idea, and then you were completely bleeped for your lesson because they don't know what to do. I learned that last year. I assumed people knew the rules to Family Feud. They did not. We will never be playing that game again.
Never again.
Like 10 hours of work on that, just gone. Yeah. Never again. Not even worth it.
Do they know who Steve Harvey is? Is there any?
Probably.
Okay. But not the rules to the game he owns.
Because who else has been in there recently? Was Alfonso Ribeiro in there? I can't remember if he did it. I'm thinking of AFV. He did it as America's Funniest.
And he's part of Dancing with the Stars as well.
Yeah, that I knew. Right. Wild. So in any case, we're ready for the week, and lots of things to be excited about.
I'm so excited for you, man. My final question: seating charts. Day one or no?
Absolutely not. No, okay. I need to know, except one exception. So one of my classes is a second year class. That will be day 2. Day 1, we got 28 minutes or 20, whatever it is. I'm not doing seating charts on that day. I'm not going to be like, welcome to class, find your spot. Like, that's not how this is going to go.
Okay. I got you.
And then for the other classes, especially with AP psychology, I like doing real life examples. We are creatures of habit and pattern. We look for patterns unconsciously, even though, God, listen to me. I love this topic, but we look for patterns. We need to fit in a place. We find this friend group and we stay there. I need to have this routine, so I do this. Even if it's a bad thing, we still do it because it's habit, it's repetitive, it's patterning. And what happens is the first day of class, people will come in, they'll sit down, and then you don't tell them anything. The next day, they'll come in, they'll sit down in the same spot. The day after that, they'll sit down in the same spot. So one of the first things we talk about in psych is patterning, and how we just have need for order and need for patterns and need for this stuff. Example 1 is, look where you're sitting. How many of you moved since day 1? And almost nobody ever has moved. And then I'll ask them about free will and stuff too. And like, you think you have free will? When we talk to you about how you don't, because you're not in control of this ride. And it's so much fun. Or do we the thing where you talk to him about the voice inside of your head, the internal monologue, Tyler. I think I've done this with you. I've probably done it on the show. I can't remember. Ironically, psychology is in your head, and everybody listening to this or watching this, do this too. In your head, I want you to scream your name or scream my name, whatever. That's weird. Don't do that. Scream water bottle or something in your head. Now whisper that same thing. One's screamed, one's whispered, but they're the same volume. You can't control the volume of your inner monologue. And it's one of those things that freaks people out when they realize, no, whispered, screamed doesn't matter. The volume's always the same. It's just so cool because it's stuff. Psychology is loaded with stuff that you already know, but aren't aware that you already know it. And I think that's just so cool when you start connecting dots and seeing things and going like, wow, that's why those lights that are look like they're motion, that they're moving, are just blinking on and off in sequence, but our brains interpret it as moving, even though it's just blinking on and off. It's just so cool. I love it so much. Can't wait to start that.
I love how passionate you are about your content. I think about the amazing teachers I had, and what they all shared was a love for what they were teaching, a love for kids, of course, but also a love for the subject itself. So clearly you have that, my friend. I can't wait to hear how the first week goes. I can't wait for your future recaps here about the new school year. But shout out to you. Shout out to all of the educators starting this week, or those who have started, or those who are starting within the next few weeks or the next month, especially
Labor Day coming up.
Our East Coast family, friends, and listeners. So shout out to all of you. You are heroes. And man, it continues to be a privilege to know you. I know how much you mean to that community and how much they mean to you. So it's going to be a great year ahead. I can't wait.
Yeah, solid state of affairs. And speaking of, Tyler, let's talk about the state of 19 media. Let's hit the music.
Late breaking news from the world of 19 media.
Tyler, Jessica, and Carmen are beaming up to Roswell, New Mexico. I wonder what they're talking about on their latest episode of Small Town USA. Join them as they drive into a strange and mysterious world where the residents aren't just waiting for the next big thing. They're waiting for the next big thing to land in their backyard. You can follow them at Small Town USA SHW, show spelled SHW, on X.
Check out Hidden Gems Golf, 19's official fantasy-based golf. Let's try that again. Check out Hidden Gems Golf, 19's official fantasy golf-based podcast. Yes, that is it. You know the Mojo King provides picks and analysis like no one else can. Mo is also the proprietor of Hip Hop Hidden Gems, easy for me to say, a show that is dedicated to spotlighting some of the greatest songs in the genre's history. He's a busy man, just like this read. You can follow him at A Power Mojo.
Well said. Mo and Mike Steph dropped a new episode of Hidden Gems Golf. Embrace the mess. Previewing the NFC South. You can also check out Mike's weekly show, The Salty Thoughts of Mike Steph, for passionate commentary on the latest sports news, political headlines, life in New York, and much more. Follow him at Mike Steffens _. That's STEPH.
Great call. Our teammates are doing so much, Brad. It's like my head is spinning with all this great content. Right. Speaking of busy colleagues, Desmond Powell hosts Hip to the Games, a show dedicated to bridging the love of hip hop and hoops. He welcomed the aforementioned Mike Steph to the show for a special You Had to Be There installment, celebrating the career of New York Knicks great John Starks. You can follow the show at Hip2, the number 2, the Games.
It freaked me out. I don't know why. It's just Hip2 got me.
Hip2. So we call a pause for dramatic effect, my friend.
Yeah, it was excellent. Join Ricky, host of Late Night Lake Show, for the latest news emanating from Tinseltown. He frequently welcomes guests from around basketball media to discuss one of the NBA's most notorious franchises. I feel like that was a loaded word. The Los Angeles Lakers. Not infamous, not notable, notorious franchises. You can follow him at Late Night Lakers.
Yes. There's a lot to unpack there. Speaking of the association, Warren and Cal of the Baseline NBA podcast have you covered with excellent content, even during the off season. In case you missed it, check out their latest Who You Got episode, pitting Blake Griffin against Amare Stoudemire. Brad and I divulged a couple weeks ago, we're choosing Amare. Maybe that's the desert residents in us, but nonetheless, it's a great conversation, and the guys make a really wonderful argument for both players. You can follow them and the show at NBA Baseline.
Speaking of Warren, follow his solo project, Dope Interviews. He welcomes guests from Hollywood, the Hardwood, and more. Tune in and follow the show at dope_interviews.
And finally, Gerald Brown of SiriusXM hosts Heavy in the Paint, a show that spotlights the stories and careers of notable professional athletes. He welcomed Anthony Morrow, one of the best shooters in NBA history, to hear how Morrow used Summer League to solidify a spot in the association. You can follow Gerald at GeraldBLSS.
Bliss is it's such a great name, right? And it's such a great feeling. And man, you can feel it when you win, Tyler. Are you ready to elevate your fantasy sports experience with Prize Picks? During the women's basketball season, you can win up to 100 times your money. Imagine turning a $10 entry into a whopping $1,000. If you're working for promotions or looking for promotions, we're working for them. Prize Picks has got you covered every week. From lowering select players' stats projections on Tuesdays to help your lineup hit, or getting your entry fees back if you have a losing lineup on Fridays. And you already know women's basketball is on fire. Tyler, women's basketball, the Olympics.
I was watching some of that earlier. Yeah, we got a squad. Asia and BG on the same team. That's a problem.
Did you see Ka kicking her feet on the bench?
I did. I saw Erica Day.
Yes.
Tweet that out.
Shout out to Erica Day. That's also where I caught it too.
Hilarious. Okay. Shout out to her.
Just absolutely amazing. With stars like Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese looking to make names alongside greats like Brianna Stewart and Asia Wilson, you could win up to 100 times your cash watching them ball out. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code CLNS on Prize Picks for a deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy.
It's time for WWE talk. Let's get right into it. Brad, NXT Great American Bash, week 1, SummerSlam in Cleveland. Who won the week in WWE for you?
Oh, man. I don't know why I'm thinking so hard about this. It's Roman. I want to say Nia, and I'm super happy that Nia. I'm sure we're going to talk about this when I say it in my question about how every match seemed to have some form of interference except for like one. Was it only one? Was it just Sammy and Braun? I can't remember. I think all the other matches had interference of some sort.
I think you're right.
And several matches in a row with shoulder hits to the post. And it's got to be Roman. I tweeted this out. I sent it to you. Roman coming in to thunderous applause, to the Superman punch on Solo, totally earned moment, to going into the corner and people losing their mind because he was about to spear Solo out of his shoes, which he wasn't wearing, was as soon as he did the ooh-ahs and having 56,000 people do it or whatever the number was. Think about where that man was just 5 years ago. Just getting booed out of buildings or total indifference, or just everybody going like, we don't want this, to that. How can it not be Roman Reigns? I could make a case for Braun. I think Braun walking away, especially since I loved how much he had his post-show interview when he was on the panel with Big E and everybody over there, Wade Barrett, talking and just being super humble.
How good was that?
Oh my God.
It was totally out of character, just interviewing the guy who's on this meteoric rise.
Yes.
It was great.
seeing the Steiners up there cheering on and being happy, and the WWE account completely leaving out the fact that DDP was next to them was kind of a subtle drag. I was like, well, okay, we're just not going to acknowledge that right next to Scott is DDP. Okay,
we can only acknowledge one person.
Yeah, we're just gonna go. The Steiners are there, and that other guy that does yoga, I guess, is also here. I thought that was crazy. So I feel great for him. LA Knight, awesome to see him get the win. Really excited for him to finally have a title in WWE. Loved his post show. That was so much fun, so funny. Punk shouting him out. I thought Drew looked great. I thought a lot of this was really excellent, but I got to give it up to Roman Reigns.
It's a pick I'm not mad at whatsoever. The people that I mentioned, the superstars I had on my list, of course, Roman and Braun. Nia Jax, as you alluded to, big night for her. I know we spoke about Bayley's title reign most recently and how we weren't ready for it to conclude, but Nia winning the championship was that final piece needed for the massive success that has been her comeback, Brad. It's been phenomenal, and I think really cemented the second run as, oh no, Nia deserves to be here, and she has really improved her game in so many ways. Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley had a fun match. The way it went down was so interesting with Dom sliding in the chair. We've been knowing that he's super nefarious and he was going to turn on Liv, but for them to kick off the show and have one of the more highly anticipated matches on the entire card, a card full of just singles matches. I don't know the last time that's happened at a show like this, but they did great. However, I want to agree with you in terms of Roman Reigns. Of course, Gunther did great. Damian Priest got his flowers, which made me happy. The names that we haven't spoken about yet, though, I want to go to Tuesday nights on NXT for this. Roxanne Perez and Thea Hale had a fantastic match to main event the Great American Bash. I actually watched it on Tuesday night, and it delivered. They were just great. They had amazing chemistry. They had a series where they were going back and forth on submission holds. Of course, Roxanne retained, but I was really impressed with the match they put on. It to me, it won the week by far. And then Roman closing the show. And to your point, this was the secret sauce to get the monster babyface Roman. This is what we could have done years ago, as we know, but finally we got that moment where I think all the WWE universe is on board. Certainly the WWE universe that was in Cleveland, fully on board that this is the guy. I don't know if we want to have a conversation yet about who is the face of professional wrestling. If you can only choose one, to me, it's feeling like it's Cody or it's Roman. I think Roman's return reminded us, okay, the dude with that America tattoo, he's doing his thing. He's got the gold right now, but don't forget, I'm the head of the table. I'm the OTC. I can make a case that I'm the face of not only this company, but of pro wrestling in 2024. It was great.
Yeah, I think you have to give the nod to Roman. I love what Cody's doing, and Cody is like, everybody loves Cody, but it's it's one of those things that all these multiple companies, and how do you pick? And when you have guys that are this popular, it's really hard to say who the face is. Maybe there's two, maybe there's three, maybe there's five, because Rhea's up there too.
Bianca, Rhea, there's so many names. Right.
Well, Bianca's not up there right now because Bianca's not doing anything.
Well, I mean, that's
a conversation for another time.
That's something that we need to discuss.
Yes. Because Rhea is getting lots of time, and Rhea earned that time. Okay, Rhea deserves that time. Rhea's earned that time. Rhea needs to have that time because she is here, and everybody else is either close or with her, not doing anything. Because you could have Rhea and Bianca feud for the rest of time, and it would be great. But I miss, I don't know. There's a lot going on, man. So I'm gonna transition out of that by asking you a question based on the Nia stuff you said. But first, SummerSlam was a hit, despite many shoulder charges into ring spots and a lot of interference in matches. There are a lot of storylines, though, coming out of the event. When's Tiffy going to turn on Nia? All of those things. Great Money in the Bank, by the way, the briefcase, or the satchel now. But the one I want to ask you is, the question that I want to ask you is this. What is Bayley's next program, and where does she go from here?
my first thought is rematch Jones in Berlin. To me, the end goal is clearly Tiffany cashing in on Nia. I'm really interested to see who's the heel and who's the face in that feud, because you could convince me it could go either way. I'm thinking, to me, Money in the Bank is best when it's someone dastardly cashing in, but Tiffany is so popular that the layup seemingly would be Tiffany turns into being a fan favorite and Nia is the heel.
Sure.
So I'm going to say, let's give you a direct answer. I'm going to say we get a rematch in Berlin. I don't know that Tiffany cashes in that soon, but I think they're going to run it back. I think Bayley is not going to come out victorious, sadly. And then after that, Brad, I think we follow a similar route to where Naomi is right now, where you have the veteran, as Triple H mentioned in the I was going to say the post game or the post show conference. Bayley is so reliable, and she's always ready, to say the least. I think that's where Bayley's going to go. Maybe a feud with Naomi, I don't know, but I think she's going to take a break certainly from that title scene and hopefully be a fixture on Friday nights.
Yeah,
but I think she's going to get that rematch and then go the way of Naomi, where she kind of steps back and is that savvy veteran, but isn't necessarily going to be a title contender until, I don't know, maybe Royal Rumble or WrestleMania season. I'd love to see Tiffany versus Bayley. I'd love to see a triple threat here, but I think she's going to be in the Naomi slot.
I think so too, but one thing that I would love to see, just selfishly, is I think it could be a really fun thing to have Bayley go down to NXT and start feuding with people down there. Being on Raw, but like feuding with Roxanne and feuding with other people, I think could be a lot of fun as a way for Bayley to go and wrestle the way she wrestled when she was in Japan, but also be able to face some different talent and help them grow, not necessarily for titles and stuff, but just to go and do it. I don't think the hugger's coming back, but we got really close last night. We saw that entrance. She came out with the streamers on the arms, on the legs, all of that. I was like, oh, this is so good.
You think there's something there? It wasn't unintentional?
I don't know.
Do you think we're ready for the hugger to come back? Because it ended in a way that was, okay, we need to take a break from this for a long time. Do you think if it came back next year, it would be a success?
I think if it comes back for a match, I think it would be great. Kind of like what Edge did with coming back to the Brood stuff and WWE.
So just a one-off.
Yeah, I don't think you need to beat it into the ground, because then it's beautiful and nostalgic, but it's not like a permanent thing where,
right.
Because I don't think it has the kind of staying power it did when she first started out, connecting with the younger audience and all that. I think she could still do that. But honestly, I like Bayley as a bad guy, but I've loved this run with her as a baby face. I just wish they would have given her more to do or better stuff to do. Not to say that this thing with Nia wasn't good, but it's just, it just felt like she won it. She got her moment and then she became an afterthought. And the moment wasn't even marketed really. It was all about all the other stuff. And we
talked about that. That power bomb she hit on Nia last night. It's like, that was one of the images of SummerSlam.
Yes.
Why aren't we marketing Bayley?
I think one of the tweets that I saw was that's going to be in her Hall of Fame package.
Yeah, that was a signature moment of the feud, in my opinion.
100%.
Bayley's strength.
100%. So to your point, I think Bayley ends up. I think it's going to be a rematch, or at the very least, Bayley's going to want to fight Tiffany Stratton.
I can see that. That'd be really fun.
For interfering and costing her the match, and then we get that. That'd be a lot of fun, and that would help Tiffany along the way too. And then I don't know. I could see them continuing to feud. Maybe she tags with somebody to fight both of them. I don't know who that person is. Maybe it's Naomi, but well, we'll see. We'll see where this goes. I hope she doesn't get kind of erased from the TV for a while, like a lot of people have. I don't need her to be a speed champion. I don't need her to be like she's a great talker. She's a great worker. She's kind of like an ideal wrestler, and I don't know that she gets treated like that all the time. But I also don't know what her feelings are. I don't know any of these people. She might be perfectly content in doing this, and maybe this is about like helping other people. I don't know. I just freaking love her. Super happy for Nia. Super happy for Tiffany. Excited to see where all of this goes. I just don't want Bayley to get forgotten because she's awesome.
Exactly. Well, while we're discussing people being erased from TV, I think it's time for our Bachelorette recap. Let's get into it. A rose from me.
And now, for a rose from GI's most eligible bachelor.
All right, Brad, let's talk about the week in Batch Nation. Here we go. It turns out the other Sam N, who I sent you a photo of.
Yes, you did.
The 25-year-old entrepreneur from Carlsbad. Turns out he was a heel. He also looks like Damian Sandow.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or like a background werewolf on True Blood.
That could work too. That'll work. Anyway, Sam, again, speaking of people being erased, he received the heel edit this past week. In summary, he's never been in a serious relationship before. He told Jen he loved her during a rugby competition with the guys. Wow. And just did all the wrong things, did the most. He asked Jen if he could kiss her, and Jen told him she didn't have those same feelings for him. Not reciprocal at all. Sam was sent packing. At the end of the episode, Jen's ex flew from Colombia to try to win her back. And heading into this week, she has to decide whether to keep him or not, or send him all the way back. A lot is happening. They were in Auckland, New Zealand. During the episode, the other Sam from South Carolina, who you also have a picture of, went on a one-on-one date with Jen. They jumped off a tall building together.
That's what you do in New Zealand. That's what you do. It's like the extreme sports capital of the world. Yeah.
Skydiving Jones went in New Zealand.
Yeah.
Jen was nervous and didn't want to do it. Sam didn't read the room. He was saying, "Come on, you can do this. I got you." Jen wasn't happy, but then Sam turned it around, and he's still a favorite to make hometowns. He's also still tall and handsome and has a lot of tattoos.
Yes.
Here's my question, and hopefully I didn't ask you this before, but tell me if I did. I'm unsure if you two have gone skydiving, but what's the most thrilling or adventurous date you and Jess have been on? Did the relationship, especially during your dating stage, ever reach a point where dinner and a movie or going to a Packers game became too commonplace?
The second part's harder. Nothing exciting, never. Let's see. No skydiving. I've wanted to. I would rather go do. I like whatever. Now I probably won't. Not until Freya's older. Because like if that shoot doesn't go,
just in case.
Just orphan Jones because both of us decided to jump out of a perfect.
It's got dark. Wow, I did not expect this to start out hot.
You have to think about that stuff. You have to think about that stuff. Jess didn't want me to have a motorcycle once Freya was born because
just in case.
It's like just in case, and I probably shouldn't have one to be honest with you. But I would love, I'd love a side-by-side. I would love a quad. I would love something like that. Just go live in the desert. Just go ripping around in the desert would be fun. Just get out and drive around would be fun. Not that we can afford that anyway, but no, we extreme things that we've done. Nothing adventurous, not really anything. She doesn't like doing lots of stuff that I like doing. I don't like doing a lot of stuff that she likes doing. I think our adventure is always sort of like a food adventure. Let's go to this place and try these things that we've never even heard of. Let's go to extremes to do it. Like we find a great deal of joy in trying new experiences, but none of them are really extreme or adventurous. I mean, the closest we're getting here as a family is I convinced her to go to a WWE event in November. We're going to Raw up by you, and Jess has never been to a live wrestling event. Freya's never been to a live wrestling event. I don't know how she'll do. My guess is we might end up leaving early if she gets like, this is too long to sit here. I don't know if that'll happen though. There's a lot going on in these places, so she might be pretty pumped the whole time. And we'll get her some merch and she'll be fine. But like, we've gone on a couple of boats. We've been flying all over the place, but like to purposefully stop in Dateland on the way to San Diego off of Highway 8, I believe, Interstate 8 takes you through Yuma and then all the way to San Diego. I'm pretty sure there's a little town called Dateland. There's a gas station there, and inside the gas station there is an ice cream section, and they make date shakes. It's the only place in the world that makes these things, but they have like macerated dates. They blend them in with vanilla ice cream, and they're incredible. Like, I'll go out of my way just to have them because they're so good, and it's so random. But I saw it on Food Network at one point, and we're like, going to San Diego. Yeah, let's stop. So we find a great deal of joy in just trying new things like that. And then, you know, like for the rest of the time, because dates are high in fiber, white knuckling it through the desert where there's no bathrooms, and just hoping we don't have to shit in a sand dune once we get close to California. But
talk about adventures and
yeah,
seeking thrills. That's that. I think we can add that.
It's just travel and food and stuff like that. Let's go the long way. We took Route 66 one time just because we wanted to take Route 66.
The historic Route 66.
Don't.
Barry, Arizona view.
Simply don't. No, because 99% of it is just next to the interstate and is in total disrepair. Just take the interstate. And if you want to stop at like landmarks off of Route 66, just take the damn exit. And just don't. It's not worth it. We thought it would be worth it. We were driving through Texas, like potholes and just ricocheting off the car. Like, it was just dreadful. All because we were like, we want this experience. It's like, so we're going 20 miles an hour slower, and our car might explode from the vibrations. What are we gaining out of this?
You'd be on some what, Fred and Wilma Flintstone vibes.
Yeah, it was
really and they're just pedaling your way back to Marana.
It's like Ace Ventura when nature calls, and he's flinging around like truck scene. This land holds great beauty. Except it wasn't joking. It was really that rough. It was terrible.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Oh, that, you know what? This is one of our more informational episodes in quite some time.
I'm glad everybody got to know this.
Talks about Mr. Winchester tips to kick it off. Now we're talking about dating and how to kind of meet your partner's needs and interests and what they want to do, the proper amount of adventure and thrills. This is very good, Brad Winchester. I feel great about this. I also feel great about a particular rivalry in AEW, which I want to get into. Are you ready for my question?
Let's do it.
Okay, hopefully I am ready. Let me find it. Here we go. Darby Allin is on a hot streak. Bryan Danielson is all in. Camille is powerful.
Yes.
And MJF and Dr. Britt Baker reportedly got into a backstage argument leading to Baker's suspension. Of course, she's still on the card.
Well, this was all before she returned.
This is all, which is correct.
Wild. It's like,
correct.
Why do we care now?
Facts.
Continue.
How thank you. However, I want to ask you about Kris Statlander versus Willow Nightingale, two performers we've seen live. This is one of my favorite rivalries in the company. Stat defeated Willow in a CMLL title eliminator match on Dynamite. We know that means Stat will receive a rematch for the championship. First part of the question. How do you feel about this feud and its next step compared to the two other notable women's championship rivalries, Britt Baker versus Mercedes Moné and Mariah May versus Toni Storm? Second part, would it be a letdown if Stat and Willow aren't on the All-In main card?
Second part, I think it would be a letdown, and I think they will be, but I don't know that they'll be on the main show. I think they put them on the pre-show.
It's giving buy-in vibes, right?
Yeah, big time.
That's what I'm worried about.
Big time, but also they're third in that list of feuds. They just are in terms of drawing power and all that other stuff. Like, we've wanted to see Britt versus Mercedes for years, plural. It's like, well, if Britt could wrestle anybody, who would it be? It would be Sasha at the time. So we would love to see that. That's already built in. This Mariah May, Toni Storm thing is the best thing probably in wrestling in terms of feud and all of wrestling in terms of storytelling and feud. Maybe not storytelling, this Roman stuff. That's number one, but just because it's so long and built so beautifully. But I want to see Toni Storm fight Mariah May. We all want to see the fight. We want to see the aftermath, right? Like, it's not just the story is compelling. It's that it's compelling enough to make me go, I will pay money to see them hit each other. This is going to be great. And I don't think we can undersell that. With Stat and Willow, it's like, yeah, I want to see this. Do I want to pay a lot of money for it? I don't. But I'll be super happy if I did and they're there. So it's not the only thing I'd want to see on a card where I would pay to see Britt versus Mercedes, or I would pay to see Toni Storm and Mariah May, where I've kind of already seen Stat and Willow. So I don't need that that part of it. And I'm not trying to undersell what they've done. It's just the other two are just like in a different stratosphere. It's like being like, oh yeah, you could drive this 2024 Mazda CX something, some random letters thrown together. It's their best SUV they have, or this Lamborghini, or the Prime Hummer. Which one are you gonna choose in there? Because I would choose with windows. I would probably choose the Prime Hummer and just go drive it over anything I wanted. And then probably the Lamborghini, because it's a friggin' Lamborghini, over this really perfectly great brand new car. All of them are great. Every one of them are great. Two of them are in a different tier. And I think that's where I fit them right now. No shade. Love them. Can't wait to see it. Don't know if they're going to make the buy-in or the main show. Will I be upset? Kinda, because they deserve it. I just don't know if they're going to put them on there if they already have 2 women's matches that are up here, and then 55 men's matches that are all equally apparently important because of the 75 titles that have to be defended between AEW and ROH. Mm-hmm. That was shade. In case,
just in case we need a confirmation.
Yeah.
And the dilemma is it won't be for an AEW championship. So to your point, Brad, not only are the other 2 women's matches for All In, the first time we're seeing the current iterations of those matchups. First time ever for Britt Baker versus Mercedes Moné. I know in AEW, Mariah and Toni haven't squared off. I'm not sure if they have in the past, but in this iteration, it's the first. It's been built, as you said, one of the best storylines in all of wrestling. I think what's detracting or what is lessening the chances of Willow and Kris being on the London main card is it's for the CMLL title.
Yes.
You and I spoke, I believe it was last week on our episode, about we're just in a perpetual forbidden door, 12 months, a year, and some issues we have with that in terms of the booking. I think that's also to the detriment of this feud. I think it's going to end up being on the buy-in. But to your point, ultimately, if we see them wrestle, that's a win for us. I'm just such a big fan of these 2.
Yeah.
And I could, in an alternate scenario where Willow retains against, you got the Kris action figure, the Galaxy's greatest.
Yeah, I love Stat. She was my first favorite women's wrestler in AEW.
I love that for you. And I love that for us, the new iteration of her.
It's
where the new music, holding the pinky up, lifting Stokely onto the stage. Like, this is even better than what we got with the alien. It's a natural evolution. It's that next tier up.
Yeah.
Just quickly, then I want to hear your question. In an alternate universe, if you will, going with the Galaxy gimmick, where Willow beats Mercedes and retains the TBS championship, there would be such a cool story if this was for the TBS title. Yeah. Kris trying to regain the TBS championship. One could argue, dare I say, the greatest TBS champion in history. It's probably a debatable topic, but I thought she was a really great champion. If this is for TBS, I think it could be on London, but to your point, Britt versus Mercedes, that's been a dream match for many AEW fans for years. So I'm not mad at those other 2 rivalries being on the upper tier. I just want to see Willow and Kris in a prominent spot because they're 2 of my favorites in the entire industry.
I agree, and I can't stop thinking about Camille being the heavy.
The Brick House. Are you ready for Jamie Hayter's return?
Britt needs a heavy, right? Like
you
have to have somebody to counteract.
I don't think, Brad. I think you and I need to listen to that Jamie Hayter theme song every day until August 25th.
It's on the 30-minute rave remix is on my rotation for the gym.
Beautiful.
Because I'm in there for a long time when I'm in there. So like 30 minutes is like 1/3 of my usual time in there. It's a great way to end the day when it kicks on. We are watching you, or whatever Ruckus says. We will be watching you. I can't remember what exactly it is, but I can't wait because I'll be watching for Jamie Hayter. God, I hope she comes back. Okay, Tyler. A little different this time. Collision viewership. It's declined steadily since last year. There were 306,000 viewers when up against Money in the Bank for a pre-recorded show up against one of WWE's biggest PLEs of the year, and coming off of last week's 382,000 viewers unopposed by other wrestling program the Olympics, their thing. How important is it for AEW to stay above a certain threshold now that the WB talks have passed a crucial deadline?
Yeah, I mean, well said on that last part, because of the WB talks that we're trying to keep tabs on, and we just want these pay-per-views to be all max.
That's it.
We thought maybe there was a chance last year for the inaugural All In. Maybe they'll make it happen for the second edition. Probably not going to happen, but maybe next year. No, precisely what you said, for WBD reasons, for negotiating a deal and getting the best deal possible. It's imperative. We're in a situation where the original vision for Collision, it being the CM Punk show, I remember writing an article this time last year, Brad, that Collision was the best weekly wrestling show, period.
Yeah. Well, Elton John. Right? The promo package with the dun, 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 dun,
right.
Dun, 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 in the background to start off.
There was a lot to like on Collision.
God, it was so good.
And I would argue, we went long on this last week, I think there's still a lot to like about Collision, but it's a completely different image than it was last year. It's not comparable to Dynamite, really, in any meaningful way. It's more of a Sunday Night Heat
which
type
sucks.
of vibes.
It sucks because the House of Black is tied to Collision.
Right. And that could lead to, should there be a brand split? I think there were benefits to it last time. But anyway, is it important that they maintain or they stay above a certain number?
Already is a brand split. There's not even a brand split between ROH and AEW. Sorry.
No, you're not.
Continue.
No. Continue.
Yeah.
I'll conclude my thoughts by saying, yes, it is important. And just redesigning, you and I spoke about this on air and off air, redesigning what is the intended goal and purpose of each of these shows. Dynamite v Rampage v Collision. I think it's important to start there and then keep building. I tend to enjoy Collision in all of these various iterations. But to your question, Collision is no longer can't miss for me. Mm-hmm. If I tune in, if I carve out the 90 minutes to 2 hours to watch it, usually overall pretty satisfied. But a year ago, it was can't miss. Now it's, if I got time, I'll check it out, but I'm not rushing to see it. And that's potentially a problem for AEW as they negotiate their new rights deal with WBD.
Yeah, well said. I try not to pay attention to the numbers and more pay attention to the quality of the product that's on my screen. But to your point, I don't find myself rushing to get there. Where Wednesdays, I'm like, oh crap, it's 5:00. If I log in right now, I can stream it. Otherwise I got to wait. And if I wait, I'm not watching it live because I'm not staying up that late. And with Collision, I go, oh man, it's 5:00. Hey. And I just either go because I'm like, oh, that's right, this is happening tonight. Or when I see that it's a pre-tape show, I just have no interest in watching it live because I'm like, well, you didn't film it live. So why am I watching this product live when it's not live? I could just look up the results. And I think that's the problem with a sports-based entertainment product is I can find out wins and losses and not have to bother. And I don't know. I want to watch more on time rather than on recording, because then I don't have the same enjoyment when I already know what happened. But to your point, Collision's still been very good. I've liked the set. We've talked about that. I've liked, the wrestling's always good, and the wrestlers and the talent and getting to see new people and stuff has been awesome. But it just feels like that's a show that's there as well. And it bums me out because it feels like things are just really fragile over there. And I don't know that they are. But it just feels like we're heading towards something when WWE is shooting to the moon right now. No Grimes pun intended there, but just like on an absolute rocket ship, right? And then AEW was that thing. And the worst thing that happened to them was Vince McMahon leaving, because WWE is doing a lot of the things that AEW was doing really well. And now they're just doing them so much better than anybody. Because the production's better, because the quality is better, because they have this giant machine behind them, the branding, the marketing. They're doing house shows. They're doing traveling dates. They have talent everywhere, wrestling constantly. They're in our faces. They're in video games. They're just everywhere. And AEW has a terrible game that took a really long time to make and then ended up being super exciting. And then we played it and was like, Is that it? This is it? That's crazy that this is it. And it's just, I don't know how to, because the viewership shouldn't be the only thing, but it seems to be having sort of a ripple effect. And honestly, I think TK just needs to give up a lot of the power and just have other people start running departments. Departmentalize this thing. Maybe make it public. Maybe go public with it and try to get more investors invested into your product and see if you can balloon it out from there and run it like a corporation rather than this small independent thing that's like, yeah, you can go work somewhere else if you want to. Just not WWE, not TNA. You got to do anything televised. You got to let us know. But you want to go to GCW? Cool. Defy, you got it. RevPro, see you over there. And it's just, that's awesome. But that's not AEW. That's other companies. And doing that and just no public conversation about the 2 or 3 or 4 most popular merchandise sellers or wrestlers in the ring. Danhausen is inarguably one of the best merchandise movers they have, but he's not there and nobody knows why. And he's not talking about it. They're not talking about it, which says to me, giant falling out. And we're just riding the contract to its conclusion. Or TK doesn't know how to use a kind of quasi vampire confused person. I don't know. Cause that seems like a hard character to work around. But Miro isn't, and Keith Lee isn't, and we just don't know enough about their health and where they are. And it's really hard to want to tune in to surprises of a little bit of shade. No shade to like all the CMLL talent that show up, but I don't care. Like I don't want to see these new guys that are going to be there for 2 weeks and dip. Like I don't care. This title doesn't mean anything to me. I feel really great for Willow. Don't care about that title at all. I don't know the history of it, and I don't care to, because you got a bunch of belts in AEW that need a history behind it that are just an afterthought, because Mark Briscoe is the ROH champion that defends only on pay-per-views. And Billy Starks was a TV champion that never defended and lost her belt. Like fix your product so that we can want to show up for it. So we can go, this is an important thing to be here for. And right now the forbidden door is still open. It's cracked open and things are leaking in from this crack. So that makes the forbidden door pay-per-view less exciting. It makes All In less exciting because the talent that are going to be All In are already all there. Like we have All In showing up, which is supposed to be like ROH, and AEW, and New Japan, and CMLL. Look at all the talent from all over the world, but they're already in AEW. So what do we?
Yeah. And AEW has such a strong track record of pay-per-views. That's usually a non-negotiable.
And it's going to be amazing.
Guaranteed. We know they're going to deliver there, but yes, it's that time in between pay-per-views where week to week, it's just the consistency is something we'd like to see more of. But we know All in London, just like Full Gear, just like Revolution, it's probably going to be fantastic.
Yeah, I'm sure it's going to be great. I'm just glad we get it. I'm grateful. In other words, Tyler, time to show some gratitude, Tyler. So let's play the music.
And now it's time for a little self-reflection. So, think about yourselves. Or something.
Tyler, I'm thankful that I have such a great job. I really am blessed to have this wonderful job. Teaching is not really a job. I shouldn't even say a job. It's a career and it's a lifestyle choice. It is difficult to shut off. You know, I had summer, and even in the summer, I'm like, well, what am I going to do this year? How can I use this? Should I save this thing for my class? You never really turn it off, or you watch a thing and you're like, ooh, how could I use this? This is a great clip, or this is a great episode, or this was an excellent podcast. I'd like to do this. Shout out to 4AZ. There's so many different things that you could, take from your own life and bring to a classroom that it's hard to shut it off. And what I gleaned from it this week when I was trying to reflect on mandatory professional development days that were long at some points, that are important. All of them are important, but they're, like safety meetings, procurement are not exactly exciting times. And then the other PD days or PD things that were like, this is good. I can take this away. This is a great reminder. I'm grateful that I have so much support from people, that I have a job that I get to have a lot of control over and no control at the same time. But feeling like I can bring something good to people and then I can leave a mark that's positive. Man, I'm just so grateful for that. Grateful for you. Grateful for what health I have. Not grateful for these sweaty hands as a side effect of a new medication. Just I think my shorts might be like my thighs are wet from wiping them off the entire show. But I got to staying hydrated today, Tyler. But I'm grateful for this beautiful weather we have outside. I can feel in my face that I have a storm rolling in, but just so happy, just in a great place right now.
I love that for you, man. Grateful for you. And I don't say that just on my behalf. I say that for, I'm sure, many people listening and tuning in. And I tweeted about this. Really going to put you over here, as I try to do every week. I just know how many lives you've impacted, right? It's not just like, oh, I think or I feel. I know this. I've heard this. I've seen this. So shout out to you always, man. I'm so grateful for you for all these reasons, and for mostly for the work that you do every day. Because what you said is accurate. It's not just a job. It's a career, and it's a lifestyle choice. That it is. And you're one of the great ones, man.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Tyler, what did we miss this week?
I believe we missed a few things. Number one, 2 notes from TNA. Mustafa Ali lost a title match to Nick Nemeth. He released a statement on social media, pronouns pal, he being Ali, alluding to this likely being the end of his run with the company. The show closed with the wedding of Kris Statlander and PCO. It was absurd and entertaining. Matt Cardona made a surprise return, laying out PCO. We're not sure where Statlander stands, although she was not happy with Cardona. I think it's a swerve, but we'll see. Final 2, what did we miss from me? Trap. M. Night Shyamalan. It came out 47% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes, 63% audience score. I'm on the fence whether or not to see this. You and I previewed it with the great Emily Olero-Jones of the Female Driven podcast. I'm still on the fence, Brad, but I will keep you posted. I'll see it at some point. It's just a matter of, do I want to pay for it? I probably will, but stay tuned. And then finally, going back to the W, Rakia Jackson, LA Sparks rookie, became the first player in WNBA history to sign a sneaker deal with Skechers. I remember back in the day when Skechers was kind of known as your dad's shoe.
Yeah.
Or your dad's shoe.
I feel like it still is.
And it still is, but they're
Howie Long coming in with the slip-ons. I don't even have to bend down to put on those shoes. Yeah.
They still run those. They do, but they also have
Great
a
Howie
whole
Long,
Snoop Dogg sneaker line. Not just one. They have about a dozen of these joints for Snoop. So they got Rakia. They got Joel Embiid. They're building out their roster. So something to keep an eye on. But big shout out to Rakia Jackson, all the women of the W, because there's just so much momentum around the game right now and the players, and it's certainly been long overdue. What did we miss, my friend?
Olympic gold, Olympic bronze as well. Man, the women's rugby team getting sponsored and getting money from a donor. I forget the details. I didn't write them down, but I was thinking about it while I was prepping for this and just forgot to write it down. But getting, I believe, $4 million from a single donor to help improve the rugby team, who won bronze at one of the most exciting finishes. I don't know if you caught it. I'm sure it was on your timeline at some point. But did you see the end of that match?
No, not at all.
Tyler, they were down with like 4 seconds left. Ran it all the way back as time expired, won the bronze medal in the bronze match. Absolutely unbelievable, breathtaking moment. It was so great. I think that's what those sports are all about. Getting to see some more obscure sports in Olympics. The white knuckle ride that is canoeing or kayaking, excuse me, I've never watched it before, and I saw some clips and I was like, this is nuts. These people are insane. You have to intentionally roll under some obstacles, and it's just, nope, absolutely not. There was a lot of other things we missed that happened this week. I missed the opportunity to go see movies. Just selfishly got really sick and ruined my chance to go see Twisters on time. So still mad at her for that. Hopefully, I'm so glad she's feeling better. Hopefully hopefully I get to see it at some point, but it's probably going to be, hopefully it's in theaters when the in-laws get back and we can have a babysitter again. But until then, might go ride Deadpool alone. I haven't had time. I don't know if I will have time. We'll see, but I haven't seen a single summer blockbuster. So good luck to you, my friend.
Yeah, man, we've been, I don't remember the last movie I saw. I'm sure it's documented on here. Was it, oh gosh, we've not been doing well with our summer movies. What is this?
Is it Bad Boys for you? It was probably
Bad Boys. Bad Boys. Yeah. You remember my viewing habits better than me.
And then we watched Axel F, but not in a theater.
And we watched Axel F on Netflix. Okay, yeah. So we should give ourselves more credit. But
no, we really shouldn't. Okay. We've failed everybody spectacularly.
If you've seen these movies,
I was like, I'll be there day one, and then it was like, oh, I don't have coverage.
No, not at all.
Day 28, I believe, and I still haven't seen it.
I have a feeling our listeners, our viewers, Brad, they have probably seen one or some or all of these films. If you have, whether that be Deadpool and Wolverine, whether that be Twisters, Trap, just came out, let us know what you think. Let us know your review. You can find us at GIPod19. As you may have heard, we have original articles and lots of other great information on our website, gimmickinfringementpod.com. It received a facelift recently that is fully a credit to my partner. You can learn more about us. You can learn more about our teammates on there. Once again, that's gimmickinfringementpod.com. And finally, most importantly, we are so thankful that you tuned in. We hope you have a great week. We hope you join us next week, and we'll see you then. Gimmick Infringement is a part of 19 Media Group. You can listen to us on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you find podcasts. You can also find us on YouTube via the 19 Media Group channel. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share.